Hey friends, Ian here. In these series of videos, I'm taking so many of the lessons I've learned through working with great homeless service providers and engaging with people experiencing homelessness throughout Canada, the United States, and other parts of the world, and putting them into a video series to help people like yourself do better in responding to homelessness. In today's video, we're going to look at the roles of volunteers and specifically look at the roles of volunteers in the engagement with people who are unsheltered, or how volunteers engage with street outreach. So when people start to think about how can I help with homelessness in my community, your volunteer group might say, all right, let's get everybody together from my school or my workplace or my place of worship, and let's grab some sleeping bags and some tents and tarps and food and go out into the streets and just hand it out to everybody. You might be thinking, what can my group do? Well, chances are if you are an untrained volunteer, you're going to grab sleeping bags and tarps and tents and food and go start handing them out to everybody. What you may not be aware of is what professional street outreach workers are already doing. Step one, understand what professional homeless service organizations are already doing. Don't duplicate their efforts. Do your research, talk to them. Understand how you can add value. Two, if a volunteer group is going to go out and try to do this work, they should make sure they know what they want to do and whether or not they're qualified to do that thing. I'll give you one example that comes up quite a bit. There's lots of charitable organizations that want to go hand out food. Some of the implications of that for consideration are things like, are the people who are preparing the food certified in food handling? Were the foods prepared in a safe premises? Are the foods nutritious? Do the foods consider the health of the population, including their oral health and whether or not they can chew and consume the food that you're preparing? Three, what's your motivation for doing it? Is it trying to help people experiencing homelessness, or is it because you want to take pictures, photos, plaster it all over social media, get likes, comments, and shares, and fulfill the needs of your own ego? Because if this is about ego, as opposed to assistance, if this is about you more than the people you serve, your motivation is all wrong. Four, you got to make sure that if a volunteer group is going out there, that they're qualified to do the things that they're going to do and not make the lives of people that they're engaging with worse. It's not always understood that professional street outreach workers go through a lot of training. Trauma-informed care, motivational interviewing, culturally appropriate and safe services, harm reduction, documentation, privacy and confidentiality, mandated reporting, and the list goes on. Professional street outreach workers aren't just people with big hearts. They're people with big brains, people who are trained to work with the population that they're working with. And item 5. For any volunteer group that goes out there, don't disrupt the progress and great work that professional street outreach workers have been doing. Don't overpromise things. Don't say things that you can't actually deliver on. Don't interfere with the trust and rapport that's been developed between the professional street outreach worker and the person that you are now engaged with. Let the professional street outreach workers focus on things like helping people access shelter and get into housing. With all this talk of volunteers, you might be wondering, well, what's the difference with a professional street outreach worker? Well, in addition to the training that I mentioned before, it's going to be things like a focus on outcomes, not just outputs. It's not the volume of people seen, it's the impact of that outreach worker with the people that they're seeing. It is standards that are transparent and a sense of accountability that comes in the delivery of services. It is ethics and boundaries that inform the way the professional street outreach workers do their work. And professional street outreach workers don't just go out and wing it for the day. It is planned, structured, documented, and strategic. In closing, if you want to volunteer, make sure you connect with a professional homeless service delivery system in your community. Ask them what you can do that adds value that isn't a duplication of services. Ask if there's specific gaps that you and your fellow volunteers can fill. That's going to be more important than duplicating services or just doing what you think feels right without being knowledgeable of what would be right. You may want to, if there's a professional street outreach team, ask to go out with them. Walk with them, ride along with them, see how they do their job. You may also find it advantageous to talk to people who are experiencing unsheltered homelessness and ask them what needs and gaps they experience and see if that's better met through professional street outreach or through yourself. You probably have really great intentions, and I want you to be able to do really great things, but I don't want you to cause harm, and we don't want to undermine the great work that professional street outreach is trying to accomplish.